you are missing out. You are missing out on the best tabletop role-playing game on the market right now, and the only real game that can compete with Dungeons and Dragons. My game isn't a railroad, it's a crossroads. It's a love letter to the old school where I come from, but it has a modern view. It's a bit crunchy, not like Pathfinder, but it's going towards that. But it's a mix of light and crunchy. And there's no elitist talk in my game. I don't talk down to you. I tell you what I've experienced, I give you the information you need, and then I leave it to you to decide whatever it is that you want to do with that. There's Volcana instead of races or species. There's basic classes, but with an extended amount of class focuses. That in reality gives you a bunch of classes. You start off with the bases, and then you upgrade. The game has skills, magic, psionics, even the effects of insanity, drugs, and booze are covered. There are social rules, combat rules, war rules, naval war rules, the whole 9 yards. There's a mountain of magic items. There's even guns that play well, fast and smooth. There's a bunch of monsters in the game and an entire setting. My game isn't you purchase it in several different books. It's all in one package. On top of that, I've been doing new content every week since I brought out these editions. My games for my Neo TTRPG system. So on top of your purchase of the original core game that works, being tested for 15 years, is smooth, the science is done, math is done, everything is a go. On top of getting that for what you're already giving me, you get a bunch of extended content for up to 1 full year for that edition. I'm only charging right now a little over $20 American, a slight amount. And if you buy my bundle, it's cheaper than buying both of my games, but it will be, over $20. But it's cheaper buying the package than it is buying both games separate. Now, what kind of games do I have? Well, of course, tabletop role-playing games. One is called Skullhorn Edition. That's a medieval fantasy game, directly competing with a game like Dungeons and Dragons. But then there's a modern game, sort of apocalyptic setting, not based on radiation and nukes, but there's been wars. It's called Invasion. It's set around the 1990s of the real world. There are pre-made adventures and all kinds of other new goodies constantly coming in for the editions. New adventures will be coming, all kinds of little upgrades. On top of all that, I've even added some new optional rules in for both editions. Nothing I promised. I wasn't making that promise to the customers, but that's how much passion I have. Ideas are burning in me all the time. I have to stop myself and slow myself down because I'm ready to make up, 10 content new packages for each edition. Almost every night, I swear, ideas are just pouring out of me and I need to slow them down. But I'm a creative, and I have a great system for creating, one that guarantees that I can create for these games forever without an issue. Where I can make a promise that I'll put out new content every week for a full year for one of the editions, and you'll get it. And I'm comfortable with giving it to you. Honestly, I could probably commit to 2 or 3 years if I really wanted to. My game hasn't been out long, and my customers so far that have purchased the game haven't read all the way through it or played it yet. I'm looking forward to good reviews. I really am. You know what? I did something crazy. I asked ChatGPT the other night. I said, look at all the popular tabletop role-playing game reviews. What they say, why they say it, examine it all. Go do all that research. And then I gave it the text for my Skullhorn edition. Full text, top to bottom. And I asked, what do you think these top reviewers would say about my game? Well, I posted that, and I'll post it again under this video. So you can check it out. You can see what ChatGPT predicts would be a review for my game. And honestly, I think it's accurate, so I want you to check that out. And I think it will be true when my customers finally have a chance to play the game or run the game. They'll come out with similar reviews on what they're trying, what they're having an experience with. I can't wait for them to run into the magic that is my game. It works, it doesn't break, it has a lot of options, and it will assist them even in areas where they think they're going to be lost. They're going to realize the game covers their butt on the whole thing, right? And it's all about, there's a bit of manipulation in there to help people learn things, like manipulating people so they understand the initiative rank system. It just does it itself. People are going to remember these things from round to round because that's the way I set it up. And there's a lot in there that on first note you might think is hard to remember, something not easy to take in. But after 15 years of game testing, I learned little tricks, little methods about how do I get a player to remember this thing going forward. And instead of spelling that all out for you, I figured how I could apply that to the actual rule. So if you just simply run the rule or use the thing, the manipulation happens, not in a negative sense, and it helps your players, even you, remember stuff as you go forward. I put in everything I've ever learned about gaming into the Neo TTRPG system. And you'll see all this in both editions and any further editions that are coming out. And there will be, right? At one point in the future. Right now I want to slow down and focus on this because I need to see something happen in the market before I decide to commit any more, to that market. Right now I'm doing some work on some outside projects, card games, board games, stuff like that are a little separate from the tabletop role-playing game hobby. And these are markets that are a little easier to get into and, have success with. I understand the tabletop role-playing game market is really hard. There's a lot of flack you get for a lot of things you do, like using AI art, right? Especially when the art at low end for me, for even the Skullhorn edition, for the most minimal stuff I would use, will cost me over $10,000, and I simply don't have that kind of money. So I've been looking for investment through purchases of the game for that kind of money. See, if people want the game for what it is and they like it, maybe they'll invest in me to the point where I can get up and get some real art and do that for them. Here's what I found out before coming onto the market. So I had to do some research to make sure, find out what you can before you do something, right? Well, here's what I found out about not using AI art. The top-selling non-art game that's all based in text has never gotten enough investment to get into the market, and any more work done on that thing is all passion. There's no money, there's no success in it. So right away, if you only do text, you're guaranteed to fail. What about Kickstarter? What about going on something like that? Well, unless you have some bigger names already promoting your Kickstarter, 99.9% of Kickstarters absolutely fail and go nowhere. I don't have that kind of backing, so I would be amongst the 99% and not amongst the small percent that succeed. The reason you hear about so much success is, well, they're not reporting on the failures, they're reporting on the winners. That's why you hear about that, as often as you do. What the customer has shown the tabletop role-playing game market with their money, with their purchases, is that they are willing to invest a bit more in games with AI art than they are with games that don't have it. I know that's not what a lot of people want to hear that have strong opinions, but this is the truth. I'm someone who supports real artists. I think there's plenty of people out there doing good work, but the money they're charging, unless you already have a bank account, full of money, unless you're already ahead, it's really impossible to do business with them, right? So I had to look at it. I can't go to Kickstarter, it would fail. I can't go to text, it would fail. I go to AI art, at least I have a chance. A small chance, but a chance. The people purchasing AI art, they're just not loud people with YouTube channels. So you're not hearing their opinions about them not caring that there's AI art, or that even the fact that there's some art actually appeals to them so they can understand what the monster looks like or this or that looks like. You might say, well, any player has their imagination. Yeah, of course they do, and they can use it at the table, but when they're making the decision to make a purchase of your game, trust me, the art is something they're considering. Every person who's looked at my game, one of the first things they check out is the AI art. Not because it's AI, they'll actually admit it to me. They're checking it out to see what the monster looks like or the thing looks like, because they understand that's the intention with the art in a tabletop role-playing game. You know, there's good art to get you to buy it, to set a mood, to set an atmosphere. I don't use none of that from AI art. I look at the type of art that gamers need for more mechanical reasons, for what the monster looks like, to give them an idea of what this looks like. And all I've done is take what I think is necessary types of AI art and put them in there to help people figure things out, make them more comfortable. And guess what? I've had a good number of people purchase the editions, the different editions, because I use AI art. So I'm not trying to offend anyone or win an argument or piss anyone off. All I'm trying to say is I'm not someone who just supports AI art with the idea that we should push real artists out of the tabletop role-playing game hobby. All I ask is, let me get into the market and I'll support real artists. But right now, a lot of people in the market, well, some of them do, some of them don't. The bigger companies, which will be around for a long time, they're starting to abandon real art. And you want to know why they're doing it? Because they realize the same thing that I have. Regardless to what is said in the tabletop role-playing game hobby, when we look at what people are willing to purchase in and outside the hobby, well, the money speaks louder than your voice. The money says they will purchase the AI art without shame. And that, in all honesty, from questionnaires and tests and looking into this, a lot of reports from the market come out that most people don't care about AI art. Look at the AI videos that are on YouTube. Tons of people know what they are. They even know what it can mean and that it's a threat to certain things, and they still enjoy it. Yeah, we have, the reaction videos where people are doing reactions. They're now starting to do reactions to AI videos. See, what a lot of people in certain parts of the hobby don't know is when they were talking about AI dungeon masters or game masters some time ago, a lot of people in the new school liked the idea. If you dig back to streams and videos, you'll see a lot of 5e people, YouTubers, talking in a very positive way towards things like AI game masters. Like that they would find that appealing. Because that's what you find out is the majority, no matter how loud a minority might be, the majority don't care about the AI thing. If the AI thing works for what it's meant to work for, like say you're using it like I do mechanically, for what the group might look like, what the thing might look like, so it's really helpful to the players on that mechanical end just for those visuals. People, the majority, like that. They just don't have an issue with it. I know there's a lot of loud people in the hobby, and I actually join them in agreeing with them how bad it is to get rid of real art and how that should be supported. But all I can tell people like this is, let me get into the market and I'll help you. But if you tell me to do the things that guarantee I can't get into the market, if you tell me I have to put my dream on the back burner, because if I go on Kickstarter, my dream is gone. If I go only text, my dream is gone. So if I don't do the AI art, my dream is gone. And what? I don't do it so I can be kind to real artists. I throw my dream away. Everything I've worked on for over 15 years, I toss that away so somebody I don't know can, get ahead, which they won't. It won't matter if I use AI art or not. Right now, the big companies in the market are abandoning it. Right now. If you want AI art to survive, you need to help people get into the market that are willing to stay with it, regardless of the easy money to be made over here, because here's an issue for real artists in the tabletop role-playing game hobby. It's easier, and it's going to get easier and easier and easier to sell AI art. So there's not going to be an incentive to stay with you. And you need people that are willing to say, regardless of the fact that AI art in the future especially can make a lot of money in just about any market it's in, like you have to have people willing to say, I'll put that aside because I value real art. I value it enough to take the hit on what I'm doing in the market. Because in the market, we're all businesses trying to make money, right? So you need someone willing to go, I'll take a hit to get you a hit. Because if not, at one point, what will be the point in supporting the artist and the tabletop role-playing game hobby from a business perspective? There won't be any good incentive to support real art. because the customers are leaning into AI art. They really are. So I'm sorry that I have to take advantage to get myself into the market. I would only ask artists is don't sabotage the few people trying to get into the market that would help you. Because all you're doing is guaranteeing you don't get no help in the future, and the only people that survive your wrath are the big companies that are abandoning you anyway. So recently I put out an expansion for the Invasion. It's called Heroes. It's introducing magic, basically making it that you can turn your character into a hero. It's an expansion that you can ignore. The things that it brings in, you can ignore that, say that simply hasn't come into the world, or you can use it. The same with the zombies. The same with the zombie adventure. These are all optional expansions, or you could just go back to the non-magical real world of the modern day with the game. Or you can accept that there are some of these tweaks coming in, but all expansions are optional. There's a new AI dirt bike system with armor. I think it's really cool. There's this life rock, a meteor that comes crashing into the earth because there was a war with the gods, and there was all this stuff that happened. It's a little convoluted, but at the end this thing comes down, and for a few days everything that around it will be revived, be brought back to life. You can cure, you can regenerate body parts if you run into one of these rocks. They're not all over the place, but because they're out in the atmosphere of space, you know, they're coming crashing down every so often. And they can withstand the heat, get past certain layers, and boom, they hit. They don't even explode because of what they're made of, which is magic, right? So purposely, they don't explode. They don't cause a massive explosion and destroy the planet. It's a really interesting outcome. I put new content out for Skullhorn 2. New skeletons that fuse together, so you got to be careful with those. Created by a sort of necromancer. I look forward to checking that out and reading it. I don't want to say too much. There's some other stuff in there, a new backpack gimmick, and just some other fun goodies. Yeah. And recently I did a fusion bots. I did all kinds of things. And I did a part 1 for this new little place called Echelon, created by a god named Echelon for the Skullhorn edition. There'll be other parts of that coming out later. Part 2 and part 3 will at one point come out. And the last part is an actual dungeon crawl that's going to be lined up with all that stuff, right? Okay, I love you. For now, take care.